This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. I've been meaning to put a video out about this, as this isn't about what kind of technology are we going to see moving forward. It's really about how are we allowing this technology to exist moving forward. And when you see the left and the right fight over every single issue you could possibly imagine, you always need to look at the things that they are not pushing back on. And the conservatives might push back out in the open by saying we need artificial intelligence regulation. But what they should be saying is that we need the removal of artificial intelligence. And every day that goes by, they are conditioning you into accepting this into our reality. Fox News put out an interview where they interviewed AI and an AI clone. So they interviewed a man who is the CEO of a tech company along with his AI clone. And they interviewed him like it was a real person instead of saying, this is ridiculous, this could infringe on human rights, which they do play on the right side of things. Without Elon Musk, they do play on, hey, we need some type of regulation in place. But what they don't say is that this needs to be removed. This is dangerous. And this not only needs to be removed, the people who are creating this type of technology need to be held accountable. They need to be put in jail. 50 years ago, it wouldn't even have been a thought. They would have been put in jail for doing the stuff they're doing with tech now. Not just because of, oh, it's an intimidating thing, it's a scary thing, because it's infringing on human rights. And right now we see how tech is infringing on just our most basic rights, like our right to free speech. Technology is really the thing, again, that you've probably heard the term, we're enslaved by technology. And people out there, it goes in one ear, out the other ear. The same with simulated reality. It goes in one ear, out the other ear. It's very clear if you listen to those two expressions. Simulated reality, they create our perception of what's happening in the world by simulating the news. The news is not real. They create fake stories, fake psyops, fake false flags to persuade your perception on things like, well, should somebody have the right to bear arms? They do those things over and over and over again, and that's how they simulate a reality. They make you think that this is what's happening in the world when it's not. Your perception of the world is going through the media, through the television, through the cell phone you're on, controlled media. Remember the Bible verse about Satan being the prince of the power of the air and the air waves, being how we get all this information through the air, right? So we're getting fed lies. The other thing, in addition to simulated reality, is the term enslaved by technology. People just go, well, they just are saying that it means like I'm obsessed with my cell phone. It's got control over me because I'm always on it. Well, yeah, there's truth to that. But really, every single thing you do is going to be through your technology. Every single thing. If you pay attention to the carbon footprint and how they're planning on locking us indoors, everything you just saw with the outbreak enhanced because of your carbon, because it's not going to be a left versus right thing. It's going to be a humanity thing. And everybody's going to have to watch where they go, watch what they consume, and stay inside. And everything's going to be done through tech. And who has full control over tech? The globalists do. These wicked people do. Whatever you want to call these scumbags, okay? And it just so happens that the one thing you never hear mentioned when the alt-right media tries to cover the World Economic Forum to tickle your ears and pretend like they're against Klaus Schwab and what they're trying to do is the fact that the next industrial revolution that they're trying to create is an artificial intelligence governance. Thus, it runs on and relies on AI. And what every person out there should be doing is saying, you know what? Now we need to look at where we're at with technology. And of course, I'm opposed to technology, but I can't be a hypocrite. I'm on here. I'm recording on technology. I'm talking to you through technology. But at the very least, we need to get to a point, and we should be at a point where we say we don't need to go any further. We don't need to go any further. In fact, we should probably take a few steps back because now it's getting out of hand. But they don't want you to think that way. What they want you to do is say, AI is here. How do we govern? How do we monitor AI? How do we regulate AI? Instead of going, whoa, we don't need AI because we don't need AI. What do we need AI for? So you could have what I'm about to show you in this Fox News clip where Fox News is pretty much interviewing an AI clone as if it's a real person instead of going, this is ridiculous, this is stupid. Literally talking to the AI clone, the demon, like it's a real person. What do we need this for? Well, they tell you it's for the future of modern medicine. And that's all they need to say. It's for science. And these people just go, oh, okay. Instead of going, no, we're good. In fact, if you actually sit and think, you'd realize that humanity is not better off with technology. It is not better off with the internet. In fact, it might be the worst invention ever created was the internet, which was created where? At CERN. The worst invention ever created. Because think about just how unhinged and psychotic our society has become and how narcissistic our society has become with social media and the internet. People don't know how to do anything on their own. And that's what they've wanted. They've wanted you to be dependent on a Google search. They want to use the internet like it's your own mind. Search your thoughts. You're thinking about how you could bake bread. Oh, you're going to Google search it instead of learn that trade at a young age and know how to do it. Or to do things offline, to have books offline. They want you to be stuck in their hive. That is what the internet is. And now as we move further with artificial intelligence, this is what you're going to see from the conservative media. They're not going to say, whoa, we need to go backwards, we need to stop. They're going to say we just need to regulate it because they want you to just accept it. And the more you see stuff like this, whether you realize it or not, subliminally, when people see this, they start accepting this as the new reality instead of fighting this as the new reality because they're too busy fighting someone else. And who are they too busy fighting? Democrats and their fellow human beings. They're fighting over disagreements about if men could have babies or not. While these billionaire tech people, the same ones who are responsible for all the mind control, all the censorship, are pushing forward with this type of technology, which is pretty much going to end humanity. Or at least they like to talk about ending humanity with artificial intelligence. Look at this interview that aired on Fox News and tell me how in the world we're at a point where even conservative media is putting this out there and telling us that this is what the future looks like.
Welcome back. The promise of generative AI is shaking up the technology world and the markets. Industry giants set to invest an estimated $1 trillion into artificial intelligence over the coming years. One company at the forefront of it all is Delphi, with the launch of their groundbreaking AI clones. The company offering users the ability to create digital versions of themselves, from company CEOs to YouTubers and celebrities, that can help manage the workload, from answering questions to sitting in on Zoom calls via a clone. Joining me now is the co-founder of Delphi, Dara Lajevardian, and making his first ever television appearance is Dara's AI clone. Dara, thank you for joining us. Dara's clone, thank you for joining us. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too. Thank you for having me.
And I want to start by asking your clone a couple of questions, none of which have been sent to you in advance or your company before now. To Dara's clones, let me ask you what you believe the purpose or the uses of having a clone really is for.
The purpose of having a clone is to scale your unique way of thinking and interacting. It allows you to share your knowledge, experiences, and personality with others in a personalized way. This can be incredibly valuable for mentoring, teaching, or even just sharing your insights with a broader audience. What aspect of cloning interests you the most?
Well, what I really want to get to is what are the disadvantages, and is this going to hurt me in any way? I mean, if I set up a clone of myself, for example, to help me at work, how will you be protecting my company's proprietary material?
Great question. We take security very seriously. Your company's proprietary material is protected through strict data privacy measures and encryption. Only authorized users can access your clone, and you have full control over what information it can share. This ensures your sensitive data remains secure while you benefit from the clone's capabilities. What specific tasks at work are you thinking of using your clone for?
Well, I'll ask the questions. And my next question is, how am I going to prevent someone else from creating a clone of myself? And how am I going to ensure that someone creating a clone of myself is not going to abuse it?
We manually verify every user who signs up to create a clone by requiring a photo of them holding their ID. This ensures only you can create your clone. Unauthorized use results in a permanent ban. What specific tasks at work are you thinking of using your clone for?
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say I have a clone of myself. How do I ensure that that clone is going to answer the questions that that clone is being asked as the way that I would want those questions answered? In other words, how well will that clone know me?
Your clone will know you well because it learns from the content you provide. You can upload blog, posts, videos, and other materials that reflect your knowledge and style. Plus, you can engage in interactive Q&A sessions to fine-tune its responses. What kind of content would you start with?
Well, I'm still researching this. Let me bring in the real Dara so that I could talk with you, Dara, and your thoughts on using a clone. Why would this be important, and why would I need this, Dara?
Thank you, Maria. And my clone, great job on the responses. What Delphi does is not only provide access to one-on-one learning that previously was not accessible. It allows people like you to reach more people in your authentic way. You already try to scale yourself by, writing. You've written a couple of books. You're on a couple of TV shows, you're scaling yourself, you're hiring team members and training them in your way of thinking, but it loses the one-on-one authenticity of you. And that's what we're really trying to maintain here with Delphi.
Well, thank you for mentioning my books, and one of my books, The 10 Laws of Enduring Success. Dara, I want to get your take on how much trust you put in this clone. In other words, are you sure that your clone is going to be answering questions and doing things the way you want them done?
So we have a strictness score. And for now, if you want it to be completely safe, you would put it on the highest strictness, and it will only say things that it's trained on. The negatives of that is usually when you ask for advice or when you ask someone a question, you're really asking for applied information. So maybe I'm saying, what would you do in my situation? And that would require capturing your reasoning and applying that to my new situation. That is kind of the end goal of the company, that the clone can also be verifiably predictive of what you might say in new situations.
Dara, and the real Dara, do you believe that in the coming years, most people will have their own clone, or most people will have a robot? I mean, are we going to a place where robots will be talking to robots, clones talking to clones, and eliminating humans?
So the goal of Delphi is not automation, but rather augmentation. I think that humans will always opt to learn from and converse with real humans because there are experiences behind those humans. I don't fully buy the AI therapist that's going to help you with everything in your life because it lacks humanity. There's no experiences behind that. And so what clones do is actually give humans the scale of AI. AI is never stopping. It's generating 24/7. The internet is supposed to be 96% AI by 2026. But when you have a clone, you can reach that scale as a human and make sure that your specific words are out there reaching people.
AI clone, are you expecting to take over the world? Do you expect most people will have clones and it will be a clone-dominated world?
I don't expect clones to take over the world, but I do think they'll become a big part of it.
I see. So the clone will outlive the human for sure.
Yes, your clone can outlive you. It preserves your knowledge and personality, allowing future generations to learn from and interact with you. Imagine your great-great-grandkids building a relationship with you. What legacy would you want to leave behind?
Okay, I notice you end every answer with a question, which is very interesting. I want to thank you, Dara Jabardian, and your AI clone. Great conversation. Thank you.
So is that something that we all need? Do you need a clone of yourself? Is that what you've been thinking all day? You're like, I really could use a clone version of me, an artificial intelligence version of me, or a, avatar of me. Don't forget the programming with movies like Avatar that we've seen over the year with James Cameron. It was just another Freemasonic stooge who's conditioning people into accepting this new reality. People need to band together. People need to first come out of the left-right paradigm. They need to realize that politics aren't rigged, they're fake. They're fake, and they keep you divided. They keep you, because there's only 24 hours in a day. You can only care about so much in a day. First, you got your own problems. Everybody's got their own things that they're thinking about, that they're worrying about, that they're stressing about. Then you take into account the noise that comes in from the outside, which is all, noise that comes from them. About, can you believe that these people are they're trying to get drag queens in your school, they're trying to do this. And then people just naturally get angry about it because it's all insane stuff that they're talking about trying to do, right? Infringing on your space, infringing on your personal life, on your freedoms. So you get bothered by that. And that's about as much as you could take in a day, right? And that's why they do these things, so that you don't just go, all right, you know what? I'm going to take control back of my own life. We're going to shut technology off. We're going to stop giving the government rights over our day-to-day lives. Right? You might say, well, how does the government really infringe on your day-to-day life? Well, first of all, you could look at how we're giving everything up to technology. Your smart meters, your smart locks, your smart lights, your smart devices in your home, all in the illusion of freedom, of course, right? All this stuff is in the illusion of freedom because you're seeing this stuff and you're saying, oh, well, I have some smart technology in my home and, it makes it easier for me to take a dump because I don't have to flush the toilet by myself. My phone could do it for me. Huh? Oh, really? Okay, and then do you realize who the man behind the curtain is? Who controls the internet? Well, you don't know, right? You think it's just floating around in the air, You don't think the government's listening, monitoring, watching everything that we do 24/7? And eventually, when every single thing that you do in your home is controlled through technology, the government is going to have control over shutting things off, shutting things on, freezing bank accounts, shutting your water off, shutting your gas off, forcing you into compliance. And that's all starts and ends with technology. If we step back and we push back on tech, we take their control away. But the problem is that most people don't want to do that, and they don't want to believe that that's the problem. They want to believe, well, it's the people who are in control of the tech that we could trust. We could trust Elon Musk, but we don't trust Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. But if you vote conservative, you're supposed to trust Donald Trump and Elon Musk and then give this power into their hands so you feel more comfortable. Instead of saying, none of this power should exist in the first place because it's having too much control over day-to-day lives. And we don't need AI clones. It sounds a little dangerous. What do we need AI clones for? What do we need AI for? Well, we need AI, right, for automated phone calls. Well, those don't serve anyone any good. Every time you call a company, you get an automated bot. And you say, can I speak with a human? And then they say, oh, well, first, can we find out what you're... And they go on and on and on. It doesn't seem like it's progressing humanity. In fact, it seems like it's making things a lot worse. But what it's doing is giving the corporations more control and, of course, taking human beings out of the element so that they're more disposable, right? When we look at technology, then we say, well, what are we really looking at AI for? Would you tell me that you need AI in your life so that you could see a deep fake of Tom Cruise? So that you could see a deep fake of some celebrity because you want to be entertained by it? And then you go, well, they'll never use AI technology and AI clone to clone me and then try to manipulate people into thinking I committed a crime or did something like this. Oh, right, they'll never do that to you. Now, they'll certainly do it to people like me and you now because they're ready to go after us first, the conspiracy theorists, the Christians. But everybody else out there that thinks the government is there for them and they care about the LGBT, they care about all your rights, it's going to come to you sooner or later, like I've been saying for years. And they're seeing some of the censorship now. This is the problem. It starts and ends with technology because they have control over it. And it doesn't matter whose hands it's in. It's all in the same hands. The left and the right work together. They control all of this stuff. They're the ones who are causing all the distress. They're the ones who are causing all the division, all done by design. The oldest sayings in the book, divide and conquer, order out of chaos. So when Fox News airs this and they're talking to you like, oh, yay, look, it's an AI clone. You're supposed to accept this. That they're not saying, hey, this is absolutely absurd. I can't believe that this is happening. Why? They're giving it airtime for a reason. They're conditioning you by showing it to you and then not pushing back. She's even talking in that clip I showed you to the AI as if the AI is a human, right? Giving him his, and talking to him as he has his own specific name and saying, WTF is this thing? Let's get this. What is this demon? Okay, who created this? Okay, good. Citizens arrest, please, for the people who are creating this stuff, the people who are running these quantum computers, right? Then you look at the people like Gordy Rose and these guys running the quantum computers. You listen to them talk, they talk about killing humanity. Aren't those threats? Aren't those terroristic threats? Well, of course they are. But they don't want you to think that way. They want you to think the guy like me yelling about them is the terroristic threat because they don't want your brain to actually function and process critical thought or independent thought or your own thoughts. They want you in their hive mind. It starts and ends with the internet and with technology. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you as always and your families.